Hey guys, what's going on? This is Shadow, and today I'm going to be doing a continuation of my progression series. The last video that I did was on the Pharaoh Servant deck profile, and I'm going to be moving on now to what was called Labyrinth of Nightmare. Now, Labyrinth of Nightmare was released in the first quarter, spring of 2003, so it was the first set of 2003. And at this time, Yugioh is still running wild. There is no ban list yet. A ban list didn't really officially come out until Legacy of Darkness. So there's still no ban list. There's just the semi-limited and limited list. And Yugioh is still running rampant and going crazy. But with the release of Labyrinth of Nightmare came actually a few really good cards to counterbalance Yugioh. Now, I've got quite a few in my deck that I'm going to show you. But some of the more notable ones that I don't have in here was the first Mass Beast, which was a 3200 beat stick fiend monster, which you would just summon it with having monsters whose stars total equal 8, and it was actually stronger than Blue Eyes. So for the first time, there was an actual monster that was actually stronger than 3000, without the need to be able to pump it up using equip cards. Other than Gate Guardian, but I don't know anybody who really even used the Gate Guardian because it was ridiculous. You also had Black Skull Dragon, but Black Skull Dragon was not really being played that much at this time, but it was an option. Also, another notable card was the release of Dark Necrofear, and this is what was awesome about Dark Necrofear. It released more of an opening to the Fiend archetype, which was crazy because you could have cards like Mystic Tomato, which would go into Giant Germ if it got destroyed by battle, and then you could basically start turboing Fiend monsters into your graveyard like Giant Germ, Sangan, and any of the other monsters that they had that they actually had available. If you wanted Bistro Butcher, you had that, you could dump that. That was actually a 4-star, so was Legion. I believe Legion was a Fiend type, and so as a result, you actually had ways to get Dark Necrofear, and Dark Necrofear was crazy because it would take control of the monster that destroyed it, and it was a equip card. So, like, say they did bring out Yugioh, or they brought out something that was stronger that could actually go over a 2800, they were afraid to because they knew that the monster would be taking control. Now, for the traps, the other two that I don't have in this deck that I'm going to show you is going to be my personal favorite, actually, my favorite original trap card of all time, Dark Spirit of the Silent. And this thing was nasty because you could have your opponent, if you had a monster on the field and your opponent attacked you, you could redirect the attack to their monster. So if they had 2 monsters on the field, you activate this, they would attack their other monster. And then you also had the release of Jar of Greed. Jar of Greed wasn't as good as Pot of Greed, but it was a trap, so you could do it, play it on your opponent's turn. You could just play it, activate it, and immediately draw a card. Now, I don't have United We Stand in here because this deck didn't focus on swarming the field. There wasn't really much swarming back then anyways. But United We Stand was a magic card that increased your monster's attack points by 800 and would increase it more by 800 for every monster that you had on the field. So the more monsters you had, the stronger the monster would be. I do have Mage Power in here, and I am going to show you that. So get ready to enjoy this, and I hope you guys learned a lot from this history. I was playing around this time. There wasn't, my deck was nowhere near competitive, but this is kind of the deck that would have been if I actually knew now what I knew then, or if I knew then what I know now. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And if you haven't yet, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and click that notification bell so you are notified of any deck profiles, unboxings, and combos and test hands. And I actually do plan on doing a combo and test hand video for this deck. I had a request from somebody, one of my subscribers, who actually asked to see a test hand, so I thought I'd go ahead and give it a go. But first, we're going to do the deck profile. Alright, so you've got 2 copies of my Harpie Lady Sisters. I only needed 2 in this deck because it's the same thing with Elegant Egotist using the 3 Harpie Ladies, which is going to be next. And it was the same formula. This was kind of the basis, the best formula that I had in this deck right now. And with the release, I no longer have Harpie's brother. I have what was considered one of the best cards in this set to come out, Gemini Elf. Now, Gemini Elf was amazing because it was a vanilla monster that had 1900 attack. Before, the only vanilla monster that you could get that was more than 1800 was Mechanical Chaser, which had 1850, but you got that out of a tournament pack, like I said before. So there was really no way for you to get anything above 1800, except for unless you had a monster that had an effect that was really bad, like Dark Elf, losing 1000, or Jiraigumo possibly losing half your life. Guys, I'm not even kidding. That was just so horrible. It was good to kind of stall for your opponent, but at the same time, it was not worth using. And Gemini Elf was awesome because it was a 1900 beat stick, meaning it was the strongest level 4 monster that they had in the game right now. And then one copy of Bazoo the Soul Eater. Bazoo the Soul Eater, you remove 3 cards from your graveyard, and you could boost this thing by 300 points for each card that was removed, meaning he could be a 2500. This was also a way to get around Jinzo, because Jinzo was 24. This could make it 25, and it could actually, overpower it. Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, still one of the best cards in the GOAT format. Kaiku can remove 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard from play. And in addition, as long as the card remains face up on the field, your opponent cannot remove any cards from the graveyard, from either graveyard, from play. Meaning, any card that they wanted to remove, they wouldn't be able to. At this time, that really wasn't considered like an option or anything, because there weren't really any cards that removed anything from play, except for like the elemental spirit monsters in this set. But other than that, that was pretty much it. But the idea was to get this guy, attack, destroy the monster, and then you remove the 2 cards from play. So that way they wouldn't be able to use anything if they wanted to use Call of the Haunted or Monster Reborn. Then we had Goblin Attack Force, same thing as before. 2300 beat stick, 1 trick pony, attack, goes to defense mode. Same thing with Fiend Mega Cyber. Still a good staple in my opinion, because it was a good way to get a 2200 beat stick on the field if your opponent had more monsters than you did. 2 Flying Common Carry number 1s. I knocked it down to 2 because at this point, the deck is kind of like, it's using Harpie Lady as a core, as an engine, but it wasn't necessarily the biggest thing right now. This is more of a Harpie beatdown. So I had Flying Common Carry if I wanted to get Harpie Lady out on the field, but then you had 1 copy of Witch of the Black Forest, 1 copy of Sengen. This was used to search for your Harpie Lady, or used to search for, if you wanted like Bazoo or Kaiku using Witch of the Black Forest. Then you had Magician of Faith that brought back spells to your hand. Or not to your hand, spells from the graveyard. It brought it back to your hand so you could recycle like Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, or recycle Fissure or Mage Power, whatever. And then I had, last but not least for the monsters, a Penguin Soldier, just because Penguin Soldier is still an amazing card, because it would return 2 monsters from your opponent's side of the field to the hand, or 2 monsters on the field to the hand. Meaning, if they attacked it, you could send this thing back to your hand, and then you could send your opponent's monster back to the hand. But if they destroyed it, you wouldn't be able to get that. You would just get the first effect, sending 2 cards back to the hand. But if you flipped it, you could get it back. And that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's move on to the spells and traps of this deck. Alright, so first, 3 copies of the main card in this deck, Elegant Egotist. This is just used to get Harpie Lady's sisters out on the field, or Harpie Lady if you wanted. Then, for the spell and trap destruction, you had 2 heavy storms. I have 2 heavy storms and 1 heavy storm and 2 MSTs. This is just used to pop any unwanted cards in your opponent's backfield that they had, like a Mirror Force, because Mirror Force is still here, or Magic Cylinder, which I'm going to be showing you later, or Torrential Tribute. Destruction, Dark Hole, and Fissure. And you could use Raigeki in here. I just don't want to use Raigeki. I just kind of wanted to stay more retro and just have the Dark Hole. And then for the draw power, you had Graceful Charity and Pot of Greed that allows you to draw cards from your deck. Snatch Steal, which was like Change of Heart. Change of Heart I took out of this deck because I don't really have any monsters that I use for a Tribute Summon. And that mainly was what Change of Heart was used for. Either that or ramming into your opponent with it. But I just had Snatch Steal because that way I could keep it on the field, and they do gain 1000, but if I have a monster that has higher attack than 1000, eventually it's going to, eat at them, and it's not really going to make a difference anyways. And then Mage Power, one of the new spell cards that was in the set. Mage Power was great because for every face down or every spell and trap card, I mean on your side of the field, the monster that was equipped with this card would increase its attack by 500 points, meaning it was really good. If you had all 5 spaces filled up with mage power, it would make the monster 2,500 attack points stronger, which is so much better than Axe of Despair, in my opinion. Then you had the classic Monster Reborn, Swords of Revealing Light, Nobleman of Crossout, and Scapegoat. Alright, so that's it for the spells, guys. Let's move on to the traps. And I actually added a couple of the traps from this new set, and I'm going to show you. So first we're going to go with Magic Cylinder. This was an evil trap card. This made it to where if your opponent attacked, you activate this card, it redirects their attack back at them, and they lose the damage. So if they were to attack with a 2,000 or 3,000, they would lose 2,000 or 3,000 life points, and it would negate the attack from you, which was really evil. If someone didn't have Jinzo on the field, they were waiting for this. This was a great ender, because if you had this near the end of the game, they attacked it, boom, that's automatically going to be game, because you know by then they're going to attack with something big. And then you had Torrential Tribute, one of the best trap cards in this set to ever come out, and actually one of the best trap cards in general. This, if your opponent normal summoned, flip summoned, or special summoned a monster, it would destroy all monsters on the field. So if your opponent activated, it was another way, like it was another trap hole, except it was a widespread trap hole. It would wipe out everything, including your own stuff, but you mainly would use it when you didn't have anything and your opponent did, or if you had like a Sanguine and a Witch you didn't really care about destroying, and they had like a big beefer on the field. Then you had Mirror Force, that was destroying all attack position monsters your opponent controls. Call of the Haunted to bring back a monster. Solemn Judgment. And then Imperial Order. Alright, so that's going to be it for the deck profile, guys. Just like this deck didn't have a extra deck, because back then there wasn't really an extra deck. You had Thousand Eyes Restrict, but since there was no Metamorphosis, it wouldn't come out into 2 more sets later. There was really no way to use it. You kind of had to use the Thousand Eyes Idol and then Relinquish combo, which was really annoying. But, alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this history and this deck profile. And I'm going to be doing a test hands just to show you how to play with it. And with that, see you guys next time.